Oh, for some, we have to start. I'm an epileptic man.
Sad happening in their life where they are very, very lonely. They have no relationships, they have no friends, they can't find love, and they're just like living this life, kind of just cruising through, going to their acting gigs, but like no one wants to be friends with them, and they just end up being very lonely. And then maybe they find a friend, maybe they find a lover, maybe they adopt a child and fall in love that way, or a dog.
But I was feeling that I need to resolve something here, something that is so. But anything.
Or dog. They just have them in their pet. That's adorable, kind of sad, very depressing. I don't like that, but it is how some people live. Rich, sad, lonely. It can make for really interesting storylines, especially when you're trying to make friends and you're just like, oh, I wish that these people would pay attention to me, and it is very dramatic. And you can honestly have a very fulfilled sim at the end, which is kind of inspiring. The next thing you can do is to play out the life of two very opposite sets of twins. So you could have, one sim who is very stewed up in the criminal career, and doesn't go to school, doesn't go to university, doesn't do well in high school, doesn't have a lot of friends, but ends up making a lot of money because they are a criminal. And the other twin maybe goes into the education career. If you have the same house with very different bedrooms and very different lifestyles, one would be working at night, one would be working during the day, one would have a lot of boyfriends, one would be married, those kinds of things. It's really fun to have two totally different sims because then you can have two totally different styles of gameplay, but still have them be connected, which is really, really fun. One thing that I'm really enjoying reading right now is like any kind of enemies to lovers story. So you could really like go out and have a sim just absolutely hate your sim. Get into fights with them, just be annoyed by them all the time. You could be a coworker, someone that they live next to, just hate them for no reason. Or for like whatever reason you want. Maybe you just hate them. And then slowly but surely they fall in love. Some of my favorite books of the hating game, so fun to read. I absolutely love enemies to lover tropes in books, and this can be really fun to play out in The Sims 4, especially because like it would be a very slow burn, so you can like play through their life, interact a little bit here and there, but not like meet kiss that, propose on the first night, maybe get married tomorrow. Like The Sims is very fast paced in that way, so use something like enemies to lover, you can definitely slow it down quite a bit and be able to like live out that romance a little bit slower, a little more rocky, which is really, really fun sometimes. The next thing you can try is having a single male sim who loves to party and ends up just wooing a lot of sims and getting a lot of them pregnant. So then you just realize, like, you go around the world and you're like seeing all these kids and you're like, oh, all of these belong to me. Oops. This can be really
If
fun.
you don't pay me,
sim,
Well,
and I did this one, and my sim had like 25 children, and he had no relationship with like any of them. It was all like the littlest green bar, and it was awful. And I ended up like turning off his aging, but like let everybody else age. Like I just kept like making to make sure that you don't try to flirt with any of your kids. If you're like, oh, I'm getting boohoo with that lady, and then it's like, oh wait, that's my daughter, because you don't really know them that well. Obviously, you can't flirt with your children, but like you could have that intention in your mind. Just a little bit weird. The next thing you can do is start off normal. Have one sim, they get married, they have children, and then eventually, while they're still young, maybe the kids are like a toddler and a child, one of them dies, and you're kind of playing through the other sim coping through their death and through having to raise the kids on their own. And maybe there was like some kind of scandal where they don't have a lot of money now, or there was like a cheating scandal and then they died. You know, this can be like kind of emotional, heartbreaking, just a little bit, because you have to deal with the children's emotions and like all of that, and it's a lot. But it can be really fulfilling when like that sim, maybe they find out that their spouse cheated on them before they died, so they're kind of like heartbroken about the death, but also furious at the person who passed away, and then they end up like finding new love with someone who actually treats them well, and they actually deserve that kind of relationship, and then you just like get all warm and fuzzy on the inside. You're like, these people deserve so much. I can't even deal. It's so cute. I realize that some of these are awful if in real life, but the next one on this list is to turn your sim into a stalker. This is fun because you can have a sim who kind of just like follows around a sim, runs into them a lot. It's kind of inspired by the TV show You, like that kind of guy. If you've seen that show on Netflix, where like you literally just like bump into them casually. You bump into them at the museum, you bump to them at the Starlight Accolades, like places like that, and then you end up making them just like slowly fall in love with you because they see your face so much, and then you end up like marrying the person that you stalked for a while without them knowing that you were stalking them. Wow, that sounds bad. It's even more fun if they were like married before, or if they have a lot of money. So if you start stalking like Bella Goth, and then doesn't know that you were stalking her this whole time and just doing it for her money, that's fun. But like stalking is not good in real life. But it's fun in The Sims. The next thing you can do is have a sim who like really wants to have one baby in like each occult, and a mermaid kid. Like the fact that you would have all of these in one household, just living together, on fire. Just all of the weird little things that come with the cults in The Sims 4. Oh, and an alien baby? Fun. Good times. Spectacular. But you can have all of them in one household and have this one parent sim who's a criminal. And you can kind of play through their life as if like the one sim is like hunting the other sim. Obviously you can't actually hunt them as a criminal in the game. But like, half of the Sims is just imagining these crazy Sims like on their day off doing something sketchy down at the bar, and then your detective sim like goes and tries to figure out what they're doing. And I just think that'd be really fun because the detective career is fun to play through. And I feel like since it's been so many years since that pack came out, a lot of people don't really play with the active careers as much anymore. They've been in bed next to them the entire time. The next thing you could try is a sim who is a teenager who runs and they don't actually have a house yet, but they have to find ways to like still go to school and still make money and be able to feed themselves and bathe and like build a small life for themselves. And it's actually super fun because you can have this tiny little house that they live in where they're just living alone and they're so excited to live alone, but they're avoiding their family if they ever see them out. End up being stressed because you're like, oh, this is what if like their parents are there, and you're just trying to avoid all those people and avoid kind of like getting caught. And it's super fun because you can have all these relationships with like other teenagers or other adults, but just ignore the fact that your family exists. That's kind of hilarious and sad. How's it hilarious and at the same time? It's everything. Kind of along those same lines, if you download specific mods, you're actually able to get teens pregnant. And I know that this is a storyline that a lot of simmers love to play out and have a pregnant teenager in their household, because that is a thing that happens quite a bit in real life, is teen pregnancy. So playing that out are with the person who got them pregnant. Maybe they're not. It depends on how you're feeling. Maybe they start out together and then they break up. Maybe they get married. There are so many options for a teen pregnancy storyline, and it can be really interesting to play through. The next thing on this list is that you want to have a sim who is trying to woo the Grim Reaper. Now this means that you're going to have to find ways to get rid of a lot of and not so that the Grim Reaper appears once in a while, but maybe the sim has an evil basement where they just starve people to death, and then every time the Grim Reaper shows up, they go and like they chit chat a little bit, they see them like once a week, chit chat until they fall in love. It can be very interesting. As a Grim Reaper, your family see all that. You can do this kind of a Black Widow challenge where you end up having a sim who's marrying a bunch of sims and then killing them off, keeping their money, and then marrying someone new until they eventually obviously die. You can also have them have children. This is one of my favorite challenges to play in The Sims 4, and it's a really fun storyline playthrough because if you're just like marrying John Zest and you get like 50,000 and then turns up. So when you find your next victim, it seriously is super duper fun and can entertain you for many, many hours in the game. The next thing you can do is to have a pair of siblings whose parents died. This works best if you have like a teenager or a young adult as well, like a toddler or a child